father. And so I'm wondering, you see this legacy that adults give their children that children are suspicious of because they don't think it can ever amount to anything, or we don't ever understand the gifts or the legacy of our parents. What exactly is the tension that draws you to this disconnect between our intentions of our parents to tell us their jokes and their stories, and kids trying to invent their own?
There's an act of forgiveness that has to take place. And then when I was a child, my father was 20 years old. And I think my mother was 18 or 19. And so they were they were teenagers themselves. And so they made a lot of mistakes. And I think the first step towards kind of forgiving those is to recognize them and to recognize the circumstances of them, and then to make something out of them. You know, I can't solve the past, but I can sell it. That's the glory of writing or anything creative, is you can't go back and fix the past, but you can make it your bitch slave and sell it.
Speaking of bitch slaves, let's talk a little bit about Lillian Hellman. Not too much. We don't want to. I don't want to ruin tell-all for those of you that haven't read it. But you use Lillian Hellman as a sort of superhero figure, a kind of zealot-like figure who she outrageously inserts herself into various historical pivotal moments. And my question is she just a satiric device or comedy relief, or is there something more profound about opportunist or unreliable narrators that you wanted to illustrate with her?
In a way, tell-all is first of all, tell-all is set in the past, in the sort of 1930s, 40s, because I wanted to write about enormous numbers of people in this fictionalized way and have them all be dead so they couldn't sue me. So, first of all, to get into tell-all, ideally you had to be famous. Second, you had to be dead. And that way I could use you as my zombie character. And also to illustrate that what we think of as the crises of our time are just a repetition, just an echo, just a copy of crises that happen continually throughout history. And then what we're living in now with blogs and tweets and all this gossip technology is just in a way just another form of what Walter Winchell, Llewellyn Parsons, Sidney Skolsky, all of these gossip columnists did for the Hearst papers and for the papers worldwide. And so much of the book is written in the conventions of those gossip columns because they're so similar to the conventions now of hypertext and of page 6, things that we know that are really more eternal than they are new. So to illustrate the present as just a repetition of past culture, to demonstrate how once people are dead, they're kind of usurped. The power of that person is usurped by other people to create their own power. And it can be done very easily. A publishing house, when I first started the idea of writing tell-all, I was writing in a cab with some publishing folks, and they were saying how publishing houses have any number of biographies, galley set, just sort of sitting on ice, waiting for famous people to die. And as soon as the famous person dies, they slap a final chapter on it, bind it, and they have it in bookstores within a week. And so, in a way, there is this culture of kind of vultures and hyenas waiting for certain people to kick the bucket so a buck can be made. Because once they're dead, they can't sue. So it was, and also maybe most of all, is that we all get so indignant when someone like James Fry is exposed as having manipulated his personal story to make it more saleable. But really, James Fry is just another version of Lillian Hellman, who is just another version of Margaret Asquith. And that people throughout history always do that, and that we ourselves do that. We self-mythologize, we lie about our life story to make it more interesting, to get a better effect when we relate it. And I think, in a way, it's our own guilt that makes us react so vehemently when we see someone like James Fry getting caught. Because in a way, we all do it, so that when somebody gets caught, they have to be the scapegoat. They have to be driven from the village with our sins as well as their own.
Yeah, that's good. Well, when you were writing Tell All,